Is Roseville, California the best city in the Sacramento region, or maybe even all of California? With its top rated schools, booming job market, low crime rate, endless shopping and dining, and beautiful suburban neighborhoods, Roseville keeps showing up on everybody's best places to live list. In this video, we're going to dive into everything you need to know about Roseville, California. From housing prices, lifestyle, perks, traffic, taxes, new homes, and what locals really think of Roseville. Today, I talked to Sam Golovey, fellow realtor, and we find out if Roseville truly lives up to the hype as one of the best places to live in all of California. Sam, no doubt about it, Roseville is one of the top, most active real estate markets in all the Sacramento area. So what do you think about Roseville?
Oh, definitely. That's definitely one of the top three places we get asked about. You know, it kind of competes up there when people are asking about places like Folsom or Elk Grove. Roseville is almost like a brand name out here. It's one of the top areas people ask us about all the time.
I mean, for me, one of the things that I've noticed as well too is like, you got this West Roseville, Central Roseville, East Roseville area. So, a lot of people don't realize it, but if you're looking for new homes, West Roseville that's going to be where you're looking for the new home builders for the most part. And you got new areas popping up like Amoroso Ranch, you got Winding Creek, Fittymint, West Park, Solaire. What are you seeing as like the newest, the latest and greatest spot in West Roseville for people?
Yeah, definitely. All those that you mentioned are kind of hot zones or really standouts on the map. But I would say Winding Creek was a pretty popular one. Now, when you're thinking about like the West Roseville side, all that new construction, I like to break it down for people as far as like, if you look at the west side of Roseville, think of it as almost the state of California. You kind of have your upper north side, your middle portion, and then kind of the south portion of West Roseville. It's so large and so vast that you kind of have to break it down that way and look at it that way. But on the northern side, you kind of have Winding Creek, Amoroso Ranch, as you discussed. A little bit south of that, you go more into like Solaire. And then even more south of that is when you have a lot of new builds kind of bordering essentially the Antelope area already. So there's a lot to choose from there. Honestly, it's a plethora of options, but it just depends on where you feel most comfortable. I have people in those areas all the time, and each of those segments feels a little bit different and is more, closer to different shopping, or some is a little bit further now. So that's something to take into consideration of where in proximity you want to be, because the area honestly is so huge.
Well, here you go. You got the whole map of kind of Roseville where it lays out in the
Yeah.
Sacramento area. So
Hmm.
Sacramento, you're flipping up to 80. And then you got a little portion of Roseville that's on the 65. You got
Yeah.
majority of Roseville, like you got it in the 80. So the thing about West Roseville that a lot of people say is freeway access isn't like right there just yet. But you got like, what is it, the Placer Parkway.
Yep.
And you are close to things, but it's definitely an area that right here is kind of being built up. Like I said,
Yeah.
all these communities are really, really are just
Yeah.
growing it. Like, and I mean, honestly, almost every single builder in underneath the sun is in the West Roseville area. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, what Richmond, Pulte, Woodside, and we're not just talking one community. A lot of these builders have like multiple communities. Which
Mhm.
one of these builders and communities for you have you seen being like pretty popular? Like people are calling and saying, "This is what I want to look at right now."
It really kind of just depends on the budget. Today I have a client and friend looking at some of these new builds with one of our agents this afternoon. And at first he was really opposed to like a builder like DR Horton, right? That's going to be kind of like your entry level, more affordable builder. But when he saw their prices and some of their low interest rates, he's like, hey, I'm open to checking these out. And those are going to be kind of in the northern side, like the Amoroso Ranch area. As far as, going a little bit up in budget, bigger home, a little bit more of a high-end feel, you got Woodside Homes over there in Winding Creek, and then also like even Pulte Homes has some larger homes. We have a client getting one built there right now. So it just depends on the person's taste and budget. But even on this map here that you're showing, you could see kind of how West Park is standing out right there. And if you look
Yeah.
kind of from that north to south end, that whole block right in there, that like big rectangular block is essentially all that new construction on the west side of Roseville. So there's a plethora to choose from. Even right now, we actually have a listing on the market, kind of on that southern side of that red line you see below West Park, that red line that comes across. That's going to be most likely baseline right there. And
Mhm.
so right there is actually where the new Costco is going to be built, right? Some of you guys that have been keeping up on Roseville probably already heard about this, that's kind of the biggest, I guess, most exciting news for Roseville, but they're already breaking ground. And they were expected to be done in 2025. Now, Are they going to hit that timeline? I'm not sure. But as far as that southern side of West Roseville, that to me is the biggest attraction point. And then around there, of course, more commercial will probably come in, more shopping and stuff like that. But if you go out there right now, I mean, there's not a whole lot going on. It's just a bunch of houses. It seems a little bit bare. But because of that future, development coming up, a lot of people are kind of looking at that area as well.
Well, here's the thing for me also too. A lot of people don't realize that like we have so many new homes being built in the West Roseville area that all the Melrose is going to go towards, and that's what Melrose does go towards, like parks. It goes to police departments, fire departments, and just basically kind of like a nice infrastructure around these communities.
Yeah.
So you might not see a lot of foliage. If you want to see the foliage is to what you can expect in areas like Amoroso Ranch and everything, I'd say go to Fittymint. Fittymint's already kind of grown in just a little bit. So you're going to get a kind of vibe of what all the West Roseville area is going to look at. But I mean, as far as like, that you got Thunder Valley really close by as well too. Fun things to do, growth. Like I said, like they have that new Kaiser campus is going to be built out there as well too. The college also, they're building more out there as well too. You got what's called Placer Vineyards, Placer One. So there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff out there. Hey Sam, let me ask you something. Have you gone to that Amazon Smart Store out there?
No, I haven't yet.
I went there to look for like a housewarming present and there were like no checkers, no anything. I walked right in there and it was the spookiest thing. I walked right out, didn't really know how to handle that kind of thing. I think I've been away from the Bay Area too much, but you're going to see things like that kind of pop up in like the West Roseville area. I'm looking at it like very modern, very much built correctly. Now we're putting in the infrastructure, Roseville Parkway, Placer Parkway. You're building in the roads and everything too. I would say 2030, 2035, that area, a lot of these people who bought houses with either your team or my team are probably going to look around and go like, I remember back in the day when there was like nothing out there. I mean, that spot is just growing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of the Placer Parkway, just so people have a reference, like if you guys don't know what that is, that's basically an upcoming development of an expressway. Let's call it a highway. Basically connecting from Highway 65, kind of like the northern side. You'll see there on the map that Mark has up where it says Whitney, right up there. That's basically pushing the Whitney Ranch kind of area of Rockland, let's say most northern part of Roseville. So from there, that highway should be connecting going west all the way to Highway 99. So essentially, and it's going to come up over the top of that north part of Roseville. At least that's the projected plan that I've been seeing. So that essentially expressway is going to connect the 65 all the way to the 99, which is basically the 99 is running north and south straight to downtown. So if you are going to be a commuter, right, and this is a long way out. So if you've got a job where you're commuting now, don't hold your breath. But for future plans, I mean, this is the stuff that I'm sharing with my clients that are currently buying in Amoroso Ranch, Winding Creek, kind of those northwest parts of Roseville, because they want to see that stuff. If they're going to be holding onto their properties long term, they want to know stuff like this is happening, right? That's one thing that we're seeing a problem right now with Highway 65 in specific, because there's just not enough lanes on Highway 65. And if you've been there during traffic hour, even as early as 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it could be jammed. And quite honestly, it sucks. Like I've gotten caught up in that a lot of times going to Lincoln and Roseville, and it's not fun. So hopefully that'll kind of release the pressure a little bit on that highway. And I think they're actually supposed to be expanding Highway 65 pretty soon here as well. I've been hearing some rumors of that.
Well, I mean, the biggest traffic bump in there is just like you got the shopping all there too, all the Galleria, everything. So it just gets really just kind of packed in there. And I'm with you. I got actually in an accident like 3 years ago with my car. A lot of stop and go traffic and everything too. So I think that like, the Parkway is going to be really, really welcome. Like you said, don't plan on any of these things until they actually happen. But a lot of these projects are kind of underway. And it's just going to be, I think it's just like an up and coming, nice kind of area to be jumping into. And as Sam and I always talk about too, it's great to be in an area that is like in the future, it's going to be just like, you want to have appreciation. And so in these type of areas, like, Roseville wasn't always what it is today. Folsom wasn't always in today, but those areas have seen major appreciation just because those areas have bloomed really, really nice and everything too. So for me, I really like it. Now, here's something to talk about with the new homes, though. Not all Melrose, not all areas are created equal. Like I've saw that for example, Amoroso Ranch, I'm seeing it to be a little bit more kind of bougie a little bit than your Winding Creek. I'm seeing the builds be a little bit more, but I'm also seeing Amoroso, like the Mellorews are higher than like your Winding Creek and your,
Yeah.
like, and your Fittyman and everything. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the builders out there right now that just come to mind is like Richmond American. You have Beezer just got in there. Tri Point's doing a new development. I mentioned DR Horton. But some of the more expensive builds there, I've seen the Mellorews in the higher 300s, even pushing the 400s.
Yeah.
So that's something you're going to want to kind of consider. But at the same note, some of those that do have the higher Mellorews, and if they've been around for a while and maybe they have some quicker moving inventory, maybe the community's moving a little bit slower. Like, for instance, Richmond American, right now they were offering lower rates, just under 5% recently. So there's stuff like that to kind of offset your costs, if you will. But I know a lot of people are very conscious about taxes moving forward. So that's something that I would personally consider. Definitely a little bit more expensive there.
Now, the other thing too for me is like, I'm maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, you could actually get stuff like in the high fours, middle fives and everything too. You got like the DR Horton Express that was building out there.
Yeah.
Meritage's first couple of communities you could. But now, I mean, if someone's calling me up for like, West Roseville and they're saying, I want something under 600, I mean, you might have like one or two floor plans by a couple builders, but like it's still a hard thing to come up with, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. When people kind of contact us about the new builds in Roseville, it really is area specific. So, for instance, I could tell you as far as right now, with just where the builders are at now, the further south you go, the districts, like the school districts, can also change. So, this is going to be a big topic that maybe we can talk about here in a little bit. But Roseville is a part of multiple school districts. So it's not just one general school district and everything is highly rated, maybe like you would hear online or from other YouTubers out there that maybe aren't as in tune with what's going on there. So the further south you go, or even the middle parts of where all that new construction is going on, you will tie into different school districts, and some are not as highly rated. And because of that, there's some builders there that sales weren't as hot for them. For instance, if they're tied to like the Center Unified School District, which kind of ties into Antelope, right? So everyone has different, opinions on that. So some people don't really care for the school district. They just want a nice house in Roseville. That's fair. Other people are very conscious about the schools and will only buy based on that. So because of that, for instance, like on the southern side right now, in with Beezer specifically, you can get on that southern side probably somewhere in the 600s, maybe even below 600 on the right home, and with incentives. So
Right.
that's one thing to consider, right? The further kind of like middle of West Roseville you go, the school district also changes a little bit. And then on the northern side, I find those are mostly tied to Roseville school district, and those tend to be a little bit higher rated. You're going to be part of most likely West Park High School, which is highly rated. It's kind of almost like a college campus over there when you look at it. And then also there's a lot of newer elementary schools and even some coming in now. So that's just kind of something to consider when you're looking at all this. It's not always just about the price per se. There's some caveats there. Now, when it comes to pricing in general, if someone was to contact us about buying a home in Roseville, could you get in under 600K? Absolutely. I could think of a couple opportunities now. But for the most part, and Mark, maybe you can tune in on this. I think most people are, when they're looking at this part of West Roseville to get a home, let's say pushing 2,000 or more square feet, kind of get a little bit more space in the backyard, have a little bit more room on the sides, a little bit nicer build. You're going to probably be somewhere in the mid 600s to the mid 700s and probably up from there. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. And I'd say also like Amoroso, if you want to get an Amoroso, you're probably looking at like maybe $50,000 more. I mean, to actually get into
Mm,
that area, because it seems to be a little bit more, like I said, a little bit. The build quality, if you look at Richmond, they have two communities, one in the Amoroso Ranch, and they have another one, I think, in Winding. And the build quality is okay in the Winding Creek one, but then you go to Amoroso and you got like, the 11-foot ceilings, you got the high, all that stuff too. So, it depends also where you're buying. I think that a
yeah.
majority of the communities that I've seen that you can get maybe the single story underneath like 600 are pretty much, I don't see one in Amoroso that I've seen myself. I see them more in the Winding Creek area, maybe the Solaire area and everything too. So for me, like, it definitely is area specific. And you are right. It's completely tied to the school district too. Like
Hmm.
the Richmond one is, in the Roseville schools, and then the other one is in the center. And like Sam said, schools are subjective. So you guys definitely do your research and ratings, go to some events and everything too. But it's one of those things also that's a little confusing because of two things. One is those school lines can change. Like
Yeah,
they're not just like
100%.
finite. Boom. So you're thinking, okay, went to Pulte one day and they're like, oh, you know what? We're actually going to be moved over here. And it was like, okay, how legitimate is this? But that kind of stuff happens all the time. And then the other big one is there could be new schools popping up because of all the homes being built
Yeah.
in those areas. So there's one of those things where you say to yourself, okay, we're in center, but there could be some new schools popping up in 4 years. In 4 years, we go to sell our home and we could be the smart one. So it's a tough
Yeah.
one. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, well, on that note, that brings up a really good point because the boundaries can change, and that's some research you want to do on your own. But I mean, if you contacted, for instance, Mark's team or someone who's very knowledgeable about the Roseville area, these boundaries can change, and maybe you're looking at a specific development. They can really easily sort out which ones are going to be, in the better school district if that really matters to you. But on that note, you made a good point. Is like, what if new schools come up into a district that's quote unquote not as desirable, for instance, like Center Unified, right? And I have a lot of friends and clients that are a part of that school district. So it's nothing like that. It's just we're talking about higher ratings when it comes to schools. But on that note, there's developments right now in West Roseville that are a part of, let's say, that school district or another. But then a brand new elementary school just opened up down the street, like Rex Fortune is a newer elementary school that just opened up there. And it's kind of right on the border between two school districts. And some of those people, if they have kids in elementary school, they're totally fine with that because they're like, it's a brand new school. It's right here in Roseville. It's probably even walking distance or electric scooter distance for the kids. So it works out, right? And it's got better ratings because usually the newer ones that open up, they tend to have better ratings. That's what I've seen. So yeah, so something like that could definitely happen. And I think more and more schools will come.
For 6 years, we've been selling new homes in the Sacramento area. Roseville, Rockland, El Dorado Hills, Plymouth Lake, Linda, you name it. We've basically sold in that community. But we'd love to work with you. One of the things our team does that most other teams don't do is the fact that the builder will always pay our entire fee. If the builder pays $1 to your agent, that's what we get. Not like these new rules that make you sign a 2.5 or 3% buyer's commission. It takes money out of your pocket if the builder doesn't cover it. We are one of the only teams in the area where the builder pays our entire fee, so you never have to. Reach out to our team and we'll show you why we should be the team that you are definitely working with.
Roseville as a city does a really good job, in my opinion, compared to a lot of the other cities. Like they're pretty progressive with things. They want to keep things moving. They want to keep investing back into the area. That's why you see big developments like the Costco coming in. And a lot of this, like you mentioned earlier, like the foliage, I call it the greenery, open spaces, parks. Roseville's really big on that. And if you drive through some of central Roseville, that's a little bit more older, established, we're talking 10, 15, 20 years old, where developments have been going on, you'll see that the city did really well with parks. They did really well with nature preserve spaces, which I'm personally a fan of. Like I love being able to walk on a trail when it's sunset. Our summers cool down, it's a whole different thing once the sun sets or is near that golden hour. It just the whole feel changes, like even in the summers when it's pushing 90 or 100 degrees. So having access to those parks and stuff, I find is a big deal for people. So I expect more of that to keep coming to Roseville.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that a little bit too, because I think you hit on a good point. Not all Roseville is kind of like just Roseville, right? You can't really generalize Roseville at this point too.
Yeah.
In fact, even we were talking offline, median list price is like, let's call it 675 right now too.
Hmm.
But that is a little skewed of a number because like I was talking to Sam, I'm like, if you go to East Roseville, that's not going to get you anything. If you go to like center of Roseville, that's probably not going to do the trick. And in West Roseville, could you get that? Yeah, absolutely. So let's break it down a little bit as far as like areas and what people could expect to kind of like pay. So, okay.
Yeah.
So in the West Roseville area, like you mentioned, with all the new home buildings and also builders and also the stuff, also you're seeing a lot of stuff that's being sold in West Roseville resale wise. Those are like 2, 3, 5-year-old homes as well too. So it's kind of, mellow-roosed up and everything too. But what do you think? Okay, for let's say 3 and 2 in that area, what do you think you'd expect to pay?
In West Roseville?
Yep, West Roseville.
Yeah. Newer build, like a 3-bed, 2-bath, let's say 1,500, 1,600 square feet. If it's new, you could start as low as probably like 550 to 580 on the very entry level. I would say closer to 600 would be like a safer bet to get you maybe a little bit more in the house. But like bottom line, probably 550, 580, somewhere around there. And then just so you guys know too, on the West Roseville side, certain pockets, there are a few kind of more established communities that have been around for 10, 20 years. In those, you may avoid some of the higher Mellows, and maybe you don't want new construction. I still have a lot of people reaching out to us that love these newer areas, but they don't like new construction. They don't want to deal with the noise, construction. They want to know who their neighbors are from the get-go. They kind of want to know that it's already filled in. They know what parks are coming in, etc. So you could find some more established communities that have a little bit more of that greenery, mature trees, etc. Avoid the Mellows, avoid possibly like HOAs and stuff, and still get in like 550 to 600 right now and get a pretty nice house.
Yeah, no, I mean, there definitely are those areas, but you got to kind of know the area to find them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not easy because they get blended, that you blend it in with like a lot of the new homes and you just automatically assume, oh, they probably have Mellows, they probably have HOAs.
Yeah.
For me though, okay, so in the new home, I'm with you. Like I think price point wise, also incentive wise, you know what I mean? That's where you're going to go for your incentives, your buy downs, your, 3-2-1s, 2-1s, all that kind of stuff too. But then you flip it over to like the East Roseville area, the area that kind of butts up next to Rockland and next to Granite Bay. And for me, I look at that area specifically and I'm like, 650, 675 to get in there. That's not happening. Like that's not happening at all.
No.
I mean, that area, what, maybe like 850-ish, 800 if you're lucky, if you can find it, because that's also an area where there's like limited inventory, even though inventory is piling up. That's still not an area. It's very desirable. There's not a whole lot of homes that come up on the market. Like, so what do you think? The East Roseville area near Rockland, what do you think as far as price point?
Yeah. So first of all, I love this area. It's a hot zone. I grew up literally on the north side of that East Roseville Parkway. So I'm very familiar with the area right there, but that's a hot zone. A lot of inventory does not come up there. There's virtually no new construction. Unless you dabble into Granite Bay right across that, red border, and then you're paying $2 million. But within that East Roseville, like little segment, is just a little hot zone right there. I've helped a couple clients recently get into that area, but they had to be a lot more patient with finding the right house. There's been, even this year, I remember writing an offer on one house. It came up super well priced. I think that one was like between 750 and 800. It was an outlier, but it still ended up getting multiple offers and going substantially over the list price, even in this changing market. And so, the right homes, the ones that are in good condition, priced well, on a good little spot in there, they'll still sell like this. So I would say most people starting there for the homes, like, let's say 2,500 square feet, they could still be 20, 30 years old, but they're well kept, maybe have a pool in the back. Yeah, like 850, maybe even to the 900 range, and even outside that range could be pushing the $1 million mark plus. One cool thing about that area is on the East Roseville Parkway section is that there is a beautiful big parkway, and there's a lot of homes that actually have views up and over, like there's like a ravine down below and a creek that runs through. Great area if you ever want to go for a walk. But I even have family that lives there. It's a solid area. It's a lot of people want to be there, but you are going to have a tougher time finding the inventory or the right home to pop up. So something to keep in mind. Now, the further south you go there, prices tend to ease up a little bit. So it's a different segment and section of houses. The feel is very different. It tends to be a little bit more affordable. In there, like south of Douglas, which is that main road kind of running from Highway 80 all the way into Granite Bay towards the lake. It's kind of that main artery in there. South of that, pricing in certain neighborhoods tends to ease up. You can get a home like in the 700, 750 mark. But the further east you go, like it says Johnson Ranch right there, that's a hot little zone right there bordering Granite Bay, which a lot of people that maybe want to be in Granite Bay but don't necessarily want to pay $1 million plus, they'll look in that specific pocket because it's so close and they're so interchangeable right there.
Oh yeah, Johnson Ranch. I mean, it's a great spot. I mean, they beat us last year, the Barracudas, but at the same time, Johnson Ranch is nice. I mean, like the houses there are nice. Yeah, if you're looking for that like nice backyard, pool, all that stuff. We put someone in there about 3 months ago, and it's just gorgeous houses, gorgeous community,
Yep.
really nice community vibe too. Now, the funny thing for me is, there's been a few times where we've been showing the houses and we're driving, right? And it says Granite Bay, which gets everyone excited in Sacramento. I kid you not. The name Granite Bay will bring them out. And you get
Oh
to
yeah.
the flyer and it says Roseville. And so that part of the Granite Bay Roseville area is kind of blending a little bit too. You don't really know if you're
Yeah.
Roseville or if you're Granite Bay. Roseville Electric, yes, no, maybe. Granite Bay kind of brand, like kind of like area. So that
Yeah.
area is also very, very, it's pricey. You're not going to see the typical Granite Bay kind of houses in that area. You're going to see more, I'd say, like more the upscale kind of the Folsom-ish kind of architecture, the Roseville architecture. But that area is pretty hot as well too. I mean, just mainly because I think it is becoming Granite Bay. What do you think of that area?
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a great little zone. Like so that main road that's kind of running north and south right there through Johnson Ranch. That's Sierra College, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's Sierra College Boulevard. So like on both sides of Sierra College Boulevard right there, just depending on the neighborhood, when I have clients, they'll kind of be between both. They're okay with both, just depending on where inventory's at. Right now, even with inventory kicking up in Sacramento as a whole, and we've probably talked a lot about that on different market updates, but in this area, it's not like they're just coming out onto the market, as often. So the ones that are there and that are good, they're getting scooped up, whether it's on the Granite Bay border or on the East Roseville border. You brought up a good point as to when it comes to schools, you could be a part of the Granite Bay School District, which is Eureka. And
Yep.
so you could be on that further part of East Roseville and tap into Granite Bay School District, even be going to Granite Bay High. So you kind of just have to do your research when you are going to be looking in this pocket. Great area nonetheless. I would definitely consider it, but it's not the end all be all. I think Roseville still has a lot more opportunities, even that in that central side of Roseville, even
Yeah.
around the Galleria, up and around there. There's still a lot going on. A lot more older established neighborhoods that you could still do really well in. So I don't want to discourage people to also consider those areas.
Well, okay, here's the thing that you just mentioned. I mean, there are some really nice communities, and it puts you like you still got your private community, but you're like super close to like the main artery of shopping in the Sacramento
Yeah.
area, Roseville.
Hmm.
Whether you like it or not, that's kind of where a lot of our shopping happens. So the idea for someone, if they're like, you know what, I just want to be closer to like the stores, the shopping area, things to do, movie theaters and everything too. There's some great communities super close by, nice builds, really, really close by. So I think for you guys who like look at Roseville, it's definitely sectioned off, right? If you're someone, maybe I'd say like, you like going out to eat a lot. You like, you like getting out of the house, right? I love these areas for you. If you're someone who wants a little bit more of like suburban vibe and everything too, and being further away, but not too far away, the East Roseville area works great. And not to mention your border against Rockland and, Grand Bay, which for the most part, that's going to help you as far as like the growth of your appreciation and everything too. And then West Roseville for me are the people who are saying to themselves, the market's tough, rates are high. I don't want to deal with competition really. I want to just go in and I want to pick a home. You got homes. You can go into, Woodside, DR Horton, Richmond American, all these builders, and you got the pick of the litter. So, I mean, what would you say? How would you break it down for the different type of people that you'd see going to these different areas of Roseville?
Yeah. Depends on, their taste, right? So I'm helping a friend right now buy a home, and they're buying in Roseville. They're actually in contract right now, so shout out to them. They got really excited about that one, but they thought that they only wanted that kind of East Roseville vibe. They wanted the mature trees, a little bit more settled, how we were talking about, it kind of borders up to that Granite Bay. They really wanted that, but just with pricing and everything going on right now, and even just inventory, they're kind of looking at it like, we don't have a bunch of options, right? Their budget was about $750. That's where they wanted to land. We got them into a house, very nice home, mature, homes that are about 20, 25 years old, and it's literally 5 to 7 minutes north of the Galleria Mall. So he's still going to be near all the action, he's going to be close to everything, but he's going to be in more of a mature area. All the neighbors are
Yeah.
kind of original owners there. It's only been about 20 plus years. and it's a great solid community. And honestly, they did really well, and they got it under 750 with closing cost credits. So there's deals like that too. I wouldn't be too focused on, if you're newer to the Sacramento area, um, I would, a lot of times I think people watch these videos and they hear one really good thing about a zone and they like latch onto that zone, like that's where I want to live. But there's just so much more opportunity here. Like there's so much going on in Roseville that I'd be happy to live in a plethora of the neighborhoods within Roseville. Like, and I say that genuinely. So what I'm saying is on the East Roseville side, it's going to be kind of like older, more established. It's very nice, but a little bit limited on inventory. Kind of that middle part, you're talking about the Galleria area and all around there. I know people tend to zone in on that as well because shopping tends to be so important for some reason. But like the reality is like, how often are you actually going shopping that you need to be at the mall for like the bougie stores, Louis Vuitton and whatnot? It's nice. It's nice to be there. But once I cruise through there all the time. Once you're in there, like during holiday season, I have some friends that live right next to the Galleria Mall, and they hate it with a passion because the roads just get so busy around the holiday season. And even day-to-day traffic can get pretty congested. But around there, anything within like 15 minutes, it's a great area, honestly. And working with someone who's local is going to help you kind of avoid some of the places maybe that aren't as desirable. And it's pretty easy to see. I mean, honestly, you can cruise a neighborhood, spend a little bit of time, and you'll get a feel of like, okay, this is nice. This is where I want to be, or this is not it. And then the West Roseville side, like you mentioned, it's going to be those people that want new construction specifically. Some people don't want a house that someone's lived in before. They want minimal maintenance. They don't want to deal with any repairs, any issues. They want to be next to the newer schools or like kind of the up and coming development. And they're kind of banking on that future appreciation for that area. And so I get that as well. So there's kind of like, different strokes for different folks, but I think Roseville has such a broad market that it kind of appeals to the masses, depending on different tastes.
Well, you're totally right. I mean, the thing about Roseville that's so funny is you could go to West Roseville on your first visit and just assume that that's Roseville. That's it.
Right.
That's Roseville.
Right.
A bunch of new homes,
Yeah.
and there's there's not a lot of like shopping or infrastructure there. And you can go to East Roseville and not even realize that West Roseville exists. So, I mean, breaking down Roseville is very, very important. The thing, as far as East Roseville, Central Roseville as well too, and those little niche communities that you were talking about, is the beautiful part is like, you don't have to pay a Melrose, and a lot of times these communities also don't have like HOAs. So you get, you don't have to do that. They're already in school districts that you love. They're close to shopping and everything too. But you're right. I mean, Roseville does have kind of something for everybody. If you want the bougie, houses that are like that, you can go like next to Rockland, next to Grant Bay. If you want something that's like brand new, open concept, we all love the open concepts. You can go up to like, the West Roseville part, and you can have the pick of the litter. It's really nice though with Roseville, but I do think though, you've got to identify Roseville as being an area that that's very different. It's just completely like West, East Roseville, completely separate. And so if you can have that kind of mindset, you're going to kind of know what to look for, because, I think possibly because of all the videos Sam's doing and I'm doing as well too, people are getting an idea of where they're going to be looking for new homes. Because I'm not as much anymore showing like West Roseville and East Roseville. I'm normally showing just like West Roseville, you know what I mean? Like, or East Roseville, but they're separate kind of people right now too. So I think people might be getting a little bit of the idea that, West Roseville is where all the new homes are going. Let me ask you something, and we'll pivot to another topic after this. Like, how far do you think they're going to keep building in this West Roseville? Because if you look at it, I mean, they got land, a whole lot of land. Do you think
for
they're
days.
just going to keep going? Oh yeah. I mean, you go out there and you're just like, you see houses like on the horizon that are still part of West Roseville, and you're like, what are they going to do with all this land? What do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy. Basically it was all just farms. I mean, I remember it even 20 plus years ago. Even now, you'll go to certain parts of West Roseville and you kind of look right beyond the new build section. It's just like, boom, grass field, and you'll see some cattle out there or whatnot, right? So I think as we progress, I personally believe more and more farmers will be selling to big developers because honestly, they're cashing out, and I kind of understand it. Some people are, feel different ways about that. But it's if you just drive out there to that further, furthest western border or even the furthest northern border, you'll see it's still kind of country on the outskirts, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
it's flat land. I would say it's probably fairly easy to develop for big builders, so it makes sense for them. It's still Roseville. I think Roseville's boundaries even got pushed from the original. So, there's kind of just growing almost. But I think that kind of west side is going to keep pushing out for a while. Even if you go down baseline, which is that southern road right there, that red line that kind of goes east to west. Yep, that one. So as you kind of go west, you go further and further. I mean, it's kind of rural out there. It's very rural, but I already see like further down baseline, way the heck down, they're already doing new developments and pockets that have gotten picked up by big builders. So I think over time it will just keep progressing out. That's just the way Sacramento is getting built. So we'll see how far does it go. It's just a matter of time and how the market's doing, I think. But I think it will keep pushing out. And then this new West Roseville that we have now will be maybe the central part at one point.
West Roseville, soon to be Central Roseville. Well, okay,
Yeah.
here's the thing that I like also is like, and you and I both did videos, and if you guys have, Sam did an amazing video on the Double S Ranch, but that community, in West Roseville completely kind of threw me a little bit for a loop. I mean, half-acre lots, big homes, Texas-style homes, right? So I'm
Yeah.
curious if as we go further west and there's all this land, builders are going to be a little say, you know what, let's give them a little bit more square footage. Let's give them a little bit more land. I think in our market, that sector is very much limited. And so that's why I was happy to see Double S, because I was saying to myself, if you're going to spend like over 1 million, there's got to be some sort of land attached to it. So hopefully more builders like that, or, more communities like that happen. That'd be nice to see, don't you think?
Yeah, and that's kind of one thing that's interesting about that kind of southwestern part of Roseville is that there is pockets in there that are still a little bit more rural if you drive through there. Speaking of Double S Ranch, we also have some friends that bought 5 acres out there a while back, and they're subdividing it into 1-acre parcels and just building custom homes. So there is opportunity like that out there, and I think I'm hoping, as well as you, that some builders will catch drift of that. I know there was another community before Double S Ranch that was also building these like big, over $1 million homes on probably about half-acre lots, and they were also doing the ADUs on them. That was a gated community not far from there, so they sold out of those fairly quickly. But stuff like that's popping up here and there, which is pretty cool. I think a lot of people kind of prefer being maybe in a little bit slower zone of Roseville, still be technically Roseville, but still kind of have that space. There is a big portion of the market right now, or I should say a portion of the market right now that is looking for that, whether it's multi-generational living, someone who wants a little bit more upscale in living, but they still want that breathability and still want to be able to get to a store in, 10, 15, 20 minutes as far as like get into central stuff. Like if they have a business or, they still got kids in school and whatnot. Because a lot of times when people want land like that, they may be reaching out to us to get into places, further out, like Loomis, Auburn, Newcastle, those kind of areas where you can get larger lots, but you're going to be further outside the central hub. So it takes a little bit longer with commutes and stuff like that. But I think that there is a natural progression of people wanting more land just in general. They're very interested in ADUs right now, having a additional dwelling unit on the property or some sort of multi-gen living. I can't recall the amount of people have reached out to me that they want the multi-gen living option, even if they don't necessarily need it at the moment, but they like the idea of it, right? Kind of like rental income opportunity, maybe elderly parents, they're kind of thinking for the future. So it's definitely a trending topic right now.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, if you look at areas like your El Dorado Hills, you have some spots, some spots, but not a lot of spots where you can get yourself like a half-acre, bring the toys in and everything too. Because a lot of people coming in from like Los Angeles, Southern California, or the Bay Area, they're saying to themselves, if we move out here, we want that house that we have always dreamt of. We want to bring mom and dad in. We want to bring the friends in. We want to bring our toys in. I want a boat. I want an RV. I want the outdoor kitchen. And it's nice to see that we're seeing this like Double S Ranch, but also, like you mentioned, boutique builders that are playing into the idea of saying, let's just subdivide, let's build some custom homes, and let's give the people what they want. Because that section of the market, as we discussed in the last video we did together, the luxury market, they seem to be a little undaunted by interest rates and everything. And they just want to come out here, have their kind of like, I don't know, their compound, have their toys, have their backyard area, bring in everybody and bring the party inside. And
Yeah.
so it's nice that this,
Mhm.
there's a lot of builders basically kind of like saying this is where we want to go. And in Roseville, they have the land so they can do it. And like, like that community double S, I checked in with them last week and they're like, we've already sold 8 homes and we've been open a month and a half. So that could be a nice little area of Roseville, or an area where in Roseville you can get large piece of land. You can get a house. You can get a lot of like, privacy, that compound, and it'll be open concept, high ceilings. I mean, that isn't bad at all, don't you think?
Yeah, totally. I'm just surprised they sold that many homes. Maybe it's because of your video, you know?
Your video too, man. Your video is
Yeah, when you
great.
showcase
Guys,
a home like that, everyone's like, dang, I want that house.
that house is really, really good. Okay, so let's flip on to Roseville. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things you can do here. And one of the things that Roseville, guys, Roseville is one of those spots that always pops up on the best places to live. Best places to live in the US. Best places to live in the US. I mean, Roseville is definitely there. Elk Grove does its own thing, but Roseville has been on
Yeah.
these lists probably longer than I can remember. So what do you think as far as like the things that you would say to yourself? Because you're a Roseville lover, like I am. I mean, I like Roseville. Like, what would you say would be those things that would set it apart from the pack as far as in the Sacramento area?
Ooh. I mean, like I guess most people's approach is more like on the generic side when it comes to like, the shopping. Westfield Galleria became like a hot zone. And I think that's kind of what put Roseville on the map too over time. I still remember when Galleria was getting built and just opening up back in the day, and it was not nearly as busy as it is now. But it's definitely a hot zone, and I think a lot of people when they're especially like we're talking to you guys as most likely because our clients are relocating. A lot of people watching this channel are probably thinking about moving into Sacramento, maybe haven't experienced it yet. So I'm kind of going from that angle. If you're local, you kind of already know, but I'm going from like the relocation side is that people kind of hear about Roseville and they automatically think like shopping, top-notch schools, uh, great place to live. Just it's safe. I think that's a big thing too that people kind of consider the safety aspect. Nice up and coming area, and it's just one of the areas that they feel like there's going to be a lot of appreciation that a lot of people will continue moving into over time. It often also gets compared, once people start kind of going beyond the initial layer on Roseville, like a great second market. I wouldn't even say second market, but a great comparable market would be also Rockland and potentially even parts of Lincoln. When I call them the sister communities, because Roseville, Rockland, and Lincoln kind of all tee up next to each other on the map. And so just depending on your budget, style of neighborhood you're going for, or even feel, all three areas would provide those things that we essentially spoke of, great shopping, great schools, safe place to raise a family. Like all three of those are really kind of the main key ingredients of why someone would move into an area. And so I think it's kind of caught the drift and honestly became like a brand here in Sacramento. Like Roseville is literally one of the top 3 places I get asked about from people trying to move into Sacramento. It's got that brand name. If you want to be in the northern part of the Sacramento region, it's probably one of the top places people at least consider.
Selling your home shouldn't be a guessing game. We've used one tool to sell homes again and again, our YouTube channel. It's the biggest in Sacramento and buyers are watching every single day. One video, thousands of views, one sold home. It's a pattern we've seen work time and time again. Our team doesn't just list, we market, promote, and sell. Reach out today and let's get started on selling your home with a strategy that works. Well, for me, I think like Roseville, one is, Folsom's a crazy market. There's not ever a lot of inventory in Folsom. So I think, Roseville, you got a little bit lower of a price point in Roseville, depending on what area, of course. I think like also people are divided between the 50 people Highway 50, Highway 80.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like 80 is where I want to be. Roseville is definitely that spot. I think Rockland, Lincoln, great spots, right? But I do think that some people, when I'm driving them up to Rockland, they're going like, I feel like a little bit too far away from everything. In Lincoln, they're like, I'm definitely feeling like I'm far away. So I think Roseville is getting those people, especially people coming from the Bay Area who are close to everything. They're feeling like, okay, look, I'm in a suburb, great, but I got Nordstrom's, I got the Apple Store. I've got a little bit of activity and things to do there. So I think the shopping helps a little bit. as far as Roseville. It gives you that little bit of the idea of like
Yeah.
there's restaurants and things to
Yeah.
do, and I don't really have to travel and get out of
Yeah.
Roseville. I don't want to.
Yeah.
The other thing that's huge is also hospitals. I mean,
Yeah.
Roseville, they've got a trauma center there. Roseville is hospital wise, it's got a big Kaiser over there. And a lot of people, when they're making the move here, they're like, I need to be close to a hospital. I want to be close to medical. And not saying there's medical spread out everywhere, but I've had specific people say, I need a trauma center. I need something that's
Yeah.
like that type of hospital. And Roseville's got one of our
Yeah.
trauma centers. So people love that, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, you have Kaiser, Roseville, and then literally just up the street, you have Sutter in Roseville. So two dominant hospitals in the area. And just for reference, I mean, Kaiser is right there, right off Douglas Boulevard, which is, maybe another 5-7 minutes just off the highway. So as soon as you take the exit, 5-7 minutes, you're right there at Kaiser. And we have even some of our clients are physicians there, which is awesome, and people relocated specifically for there. Now, I've had a lot of medical professionals specifically ask for Roseville, whether they're RNs, physicians, some sort of specialty, and they want to be near that. But a lot of times they may not even end up getting a job there, but they like that proximity because they know maybe in the future I will get a job there at that Roseville Kaiser. And they also like to know that a lot of other medical professionals are considering that area because of that. Like I've recently had clients buy in Granite Bay, 2 clients buy in Granite Bay last year just because they're both within 10 minutes of that Kaiser. So
Yeah.
and so that's a big thing for people. So I think that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people consider that too, that they want to be in that 10-15 minute gap of that hub in Roseville. So it's understandable. That also leads into why East Roseville may be super desirable, is because it's just a hop and a skip right there. I have a friend who's an RN. He's like, I can walk to Kaiser from my house. So
Oh, yeah.
he likes that. He likes that proximity.
Well, and there's another Kaiser campus coming in Roseville as well too. I mean, it's big. And also, do you know what I get a lot of? Also, people who are looking for like retirement communities or like active communities, like Sun City, Roseville. That's kind of like one of the staple active
Yeah.
communities, or communities in the area, and people love that in Roseville. It's a little older than I think the one in Lincoln, but like people
Yeah.
love that community. There's heritage also. So, I mean, if you're someone who's thinking about coming out, I mean, and you just want to even just look in Roseville, no matter what you're looking for, you're kind of gonna find it there, and like you mentioned too, there's a big part of Roseville that's kind of, close to the Grand Bay. I mean, you're super close to the lake as well too. You got a bunch
Yep.
of fun things to do there. The community vibe too in areas like, like the Johnson Ranch area. I mean, they've got like a strong community vibe. I mean, it
Yeah.
is suburban fun, but there's activities. And here's the thing though, if I'm like, 17 or 18, I'm going to be loving life that I'm close to those malls. So for your kids, you're going to say to yourself, hey, we're moving out of San Jose, but let's go take a look at the gallery and the fountains, and they might be okay with that move, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you just give them a credit card, they'll be fine.
Credit card and car. Okay, that's another thing to mention too. A lot of people, when they come from the Bay and look for like a Roseville, one of the things I'm always stressing about as well too is just understand your kids are going to eventually like, get older and they're going to want their own car. And, 3-car garages, there are a lot of kind of homes that I've been seeing in Roseville also with 3-car, especially the new homes, guys. Just be aware that if you're coming in from the Bay, eventually, if you got kids, you're going to want probably like a 3-car garage. But in Roseville, like I see a lot of homes with 3-car garages, nice backyards as well too. I mean, you have that type of like Americana home in Roseville, right?
Yeah, totally. 3-car garage is like not out of the picture at all, especially if you're going to be in that, like 750 plus range. There's tons of houses with 3-car garages, or it'll be like a 2-car with one side having like a tandem, basically an extra garage space slot towards the back. Some people even use those 3rd-car portions, to turn it into like a home gym. Some people might even turn it into like a little office space or something like that. Or if they have a business at home, they'll have a little workshop there or something like that. I had one guy, like his side hustle is CNC machines. So he just does all sorts of jobs and stuff like that. And he just has a whole section of his 3rd car doing that. But yeah, you can definitely find that. Also the larger lots. I think that's sometimes even more important for people, is having like a bigger backyard that has that pool, or space enough for a pool, or maybe they're thinking about finally getting some pets once they kind of upgrade into this area. I think that's very important for people, especially when they're looking at new builds. A lot of the times there's this stereotype that the backyards are just tiny, the houses are super crammed in together, but depending where you buy, you can actually get a sizable lot. If you're patient, you can find the right one, definitely.
Oh, 100%. And also, one thing that we didn't hit on just yet is like Roseville also has a lot of employers. They got the gallery, the fountains, they've got tons of mortgage companies, tons of like, I mean, like we mentioned, hospitals, schools, and everything too. So,
Yeah.
like, there are a lot of people that we move in. They're like working in Roseville, they're living in Roseville, they're playing in Roseville, and Roseville's their thing. They're not going to downtown Sacramento at all. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're looking for that spot also where you're saying to yourself, like, not only do I want a house, but I also don't want to drive too far, you might be able to find yourself a job in Roseville. It's one of our stronger economic hubs, don't you think?
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of job opportunities in Roseville, just depending what industry you're in. Another one that's kind of up and coming, as we already mentioned, is Rockland. We've had a lot of relocations, specifically for Rockland, a lot of jobs and bigger offices opening up there, just depending where you're at. And then we were talking about hospitals earlier. And so with hospitals, there's a lot of medical offices that I've even had some of my own clients relocate where, I mean, anywhere in Roseville, Rockland, Lincoln, Folsom, like you can find something, definitely. And when it comes to relocations too, specifically in the medical field, I find that a lot of, for instance, like our physicians are really dialed in and hoping for a certain hospital or area, but as they're kind of looking for jobs and kind of going through the process, they may land on a whole different section or area. I have even a few clients that are in between two hospitals. They might be working kind of part-time at both. So you just have to be a little bit flexible, and if you're open, but more than that, I find that don't get too tied to the commute. A lot of times people come here and they're thinking they're gonna get the optimal commute. Like, I'm gonna work and live. It's max 10 minutes apart. And even though I've had those situations many times, I find that also sometimes people end up buying like a home in a certain area or a certain neighborhood that they fell in love with, and then they become okay with maybe a little bit longer of a commute. So hopefully that makes sense for some of you guys. But what I'm saying is, if you're open to a little bit more of a commute, there opens up your range in Sacramento on where you want to buy. You just get a lot more opportunity.
Okay, so I promised you guys at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to deliver right now. My opinion is, and this is my hot pick of Roseville. I think one of the most overlooked spots in Roseville is Old Roseville. I think those houses there, and I'm seeing a lot of people also buy those homes, remodel them, and all of a sudden, those things, I mean, the location is great. I think you got no Mellorews, you got no HOAs. I've seen people get stuff there like in the like mid fives. What do you think of that area?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, it's very like pocket specific,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool if you're looking for more of that like trendy midtown feel. But in Roseville, like you can kind of get that, and still have proximity to Old Town Roseville, which I like. Like, if you guys are ever looking for a good coffee shop, Fourscore in downtown Roseville is solid, and there's just a walkability. There's trails and stuff around there, some good places to eat. But homes in there, I mean, you can find homes that are pushing 100 years old. And so if you're looking
Yeah.
for that real, Magnolia remodel, and if you want a big project like that, like, you can find one. I'm not suggesting it, but you can if you really want to get into that. So it does have that kind of midtown older home charm. But there's different pockets in there. Like, what I recommend to people all the time is, we can give you as much information as we can over this video. We can do all these drone shots and kind of show you, but like, until you actually put boots on the ground, and drive a couple neighborhoods and you get a feel. I tell people, if you're really, interested in a city, if you spend even just a day, two, maybe three, just cruising, going to a couple restaurants, going to a couple parks, going to some hot zones that you wanted to consider. I'm not even talking about looking at houses. I think sometimes people make the mistake where they want to like come into town and first thing they're doing is just like looking at houses. And I can tell you, after about 5 houses, you're going to be done and you're going to forget everything you saw. But what I would focus more on is the area, the feel, the vibe. Just people watching, maybe going to a restaurant, just hanging out, grabbing a coffee and just taking it easy. You will get a feel, and it will be a lot easier to dial in the neighborhood or the area that you want to be in after something like that.
You know, that's the funny thing is like we went through this entire video of Roseville. We didn't mention one of the things that people love about Roseville the most, Roseville Electric. I mean,
Yeah.
Roseville Electric, guys, here's the thing. In this stage where everyone's hating PG&E because, you know, the brownouts, because of the price hikes, I mean, they're going
Yeah.
up and up and up and up. The thing that's so nice about Roseville as well, too, is like, yeah, Sacramento County, SMUD. We love SMUD. But if you're thinking like Roseville, Lincoln, you're thinking somewhere in Placer, like the thing about Roseville that's so nice is Roseville Electric. It's pretty much on par with SMUD. I mean, it's a little bit, maybe a touch higher, but for the most part, Roseville Electric is one of those things that steers a lot of people from maybe your Rockland, maybe your Lincolns to Roseville because you have power that's not PG&E. That's half the price of PG&E. I mean, how many
Hmm.
clients have you had that have basically like called you and asked you about Roseville Electric versus like PG&E and their thoughts on it? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, plethora. Literally, I was talking to one of my clients today. I was mentioning we have a listing on the south side of Roseville right now, and it's basically a new build. And in that area, they're still on Roseville Electric. Now, one thing I would caution is that, you know, wherever you end up buying, don't just go into it blindfolded. Oh, everything is Roseville Electric here. It's not. So you have to really pay attention. The further south you go in Roseville, even on that west side, when you go to the most southern side of Roseville, kind of bordering Antelope, some of those neighborhoods and communities, I've seen that they're on SMUD and PG&E, which is more of a Sac County type thing. So just keep that in mind. You want to double check if you are going to be buying in that area. But for the general, you know, Roseville public, yes, you're going to be on Roseville Utilities, Roseville Electric. And so it's tends to be a lot more affordable than PG&E. People just like dealing with them a lot more, even just hearing from my own clients. So yeah, it's a huge benefit. And that you're right. People that are very price conscious or like utility conscious, they would kind of veer more towards Roseville versus somewhere like Rockland, based on something as simple as that.
All right, Sam, we talked about everything in Roseville. So let's talk about like the future of Roseville. Like, because a lot of people, when they think about buying, they're thinking to themselves, like, I want a spot where in the future, this spot's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. It's
Yeah.
going to be a good place to kind of like put my money and buy my house for my family and everything. So what do you think are your final thoughts as far as the future of Roseville, as far as people looking to move in there?
With all that new construction going on the west side, and it's not just a bunch of homes being built, whereas most people kind of look at it that way. I think there is going to be a lot more development when it comes to commercial, shopping, a lot of retail coming in. And I've seen some of the plans on stuff like this. So I know the city of Roseville is planning for this and already has it in motion. So when it's, you know, Roseville's getting compared to some of the other older cities around there, it's definitely got a lot more going for it. There's new schools coming in, new parks, new parkways, you know, with trails and stuff like that. So if you want to be kind of in a city that's progressing and trending forward, I think it's going to be definitely a hot zone for many years to come.
Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button. And Sam Golovey, thank you very much for coming on board. Guys, Sam's got an amazing YouTube channel. I put his YouTube channel in the description below, so make sure to check it out. He's got amazing new home tours and everything too. Now, as far as the video goes, let me know what you think about Roseville in the comments below. Does it live up to the hype? Is it a great place to live? We really would love to get your feedback. So please put it in the comments below. Love to see it. Now, guys, we are a relocation team, a real estate team in the area, and we'd love to work with you. There is a Zoom link below in the description. Click on the Zoom link. We can set up a time to answer any questions you have about Sacramento and the Sacramento area, plan a tour, and figure out if Sacramento is really that spot for you. Now, if you're thinking about selling your home, don't settle for that average realtor that just throws a post on the ground, crosses their fingers, and bakes some good open house cookies. We still bake amazing open house cookies, but we also market on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We get more eyeballs on your home than any realtor in the entire area. Now, one last thing before I go, there's a playlist over there of other videos I've done about the Sacramento area. Education is key. Those videos will help you get educated about the area, and you want to get educated before you decide to come up here for a visit or definitely buy a house. All right, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.